Hello, welcome to Geuzenbos. Today I'd like to give you a little tour of one of my favorite parts of this forest. You don't need a large area to film wildlife with trail cameras, as long as there's enough activity. And I want to help you recognize such a spot and show you how to make the most use out of it. I'll give some tips and tricks for camera placement too. But even if you don't use trail cameras yourself, I believe this video can still give you a fun insight on Geuzenbos and the wildlife that lives here. Let's go! Here we are at the very edge of the woods. Behind these bushes there is a meadow on this side and on this side as well. Behind us is the forest. A lot of animals use this corner to enter and to exit the woods. This means a bunch of different trails are crossing here, resulting in quite some traffic. And this little pile of wood is a great nesting spot for mice. And more mice means more predators. However, I think the best part of this shot might be the little tree stump in the middle. Take a look at this beech marten, for example. These guys like to mark on elevated objects, like this. Alright, that's enough about this angle. Let's see what we get when we put the camera on the tree with the squirrel. When you're searching for a suitable camera spot, look for animal tracks and other signs of activity. Here on the right, we see a tree with clear marking rubs. This is a sign there is an active buck in this area. Behind us is the meadow, and the forest is in front of us now. We can see this beautiful couple approaching the camera. Let's talk a bit more about camera angles. I like to have the horizon somewhere in the middle of the shot, because I think it looks better that way. A little above or under is also fine. We don't have very large animals in this area, so I don't put my camera up too high. I usually place it somewhere around knee height. The largest mammals here are roe deer, which aren't much bigger than a large dog. So when my camera is at knee height, it's a little under their eye level. When a curious deer comes a little too close, we get shots like this. This buck, however, is exactly where I want him to be. Its entire body is visible and centered in the shot. The tree stump still remains a popular spot, and it turns out some animals really like to sit on it. Especially this feral cat, looking like a queen on a throne. This rabbit likes to sit on it as well. And even this woodcock. We caught it looking for insects in the dead wood here. I've only captured them a few times, but they are really cute and always have some nice dance moves to show off. Let's follow this fox that way. If I put a camera on one of these trees, facing that way, we get to see this little corridor. Here we see a buck destroying some small trees. Marking his territory. They often use small trees like these. It's how they make those rub markings we saw a little earlier. And we already know where this cat is going. I put the camera here in spring because of the white blossom in the back. But it's the fog that really brings this shot to the next level. But even without the fog or the white blossom, I think it's still a beautiful spot. This crow is showing you there's an anthill over there. And as it turns out, it's a great spot to film birds. like this green woodpecker here. Corridors like this are great camera spots, because most animals, especially larger animals, choose the easy way to move around the forest. They rather use the open space than having to maneuver through the little trees on the side. I want the animals to walk towards the camera, so I put the camera on one end of the corridor, filming along with the trail. If I put the camera on the side, filming across the trail, the camera would be too close to the passing animals, and the animals would likely be out of the frame by the time the camera starts recording. In that case, you probably only capture animal behinds. I use this spot in autumn as well. The white blossom is gone, but I really like the branch with the autumn leaves hanging over the trail. Okay, let's move the camera to this tree, facing the grass. So obviously this is captured in summer. The forest and the grass is super lush and green. I call this little field the animal crossing, because two different trails meet here. When visiting the spot in real life, you can clearly see the trails in the grass. And sometimes animals actually do cross each other here. Like the time this cat took a nap in the tall grass and then scared this poor deer away. This crossing is also used a lot at night. Here are a few examples of animals reacting to the infrared lights of the trail camera. Most animals see it, but don't really care and will just continue their way. But foxes can be really shy and often turn around when they see it. This is why my next purchase will be a camera without this visible glow. In these shots you see a large mushroom has emerged from the grass. I like to make use of these kind of temporary changes in the forest, because the animals will notice them too, and most likely will react to it. It's fun to see how the animals interact with the changing scenery, even if it's just with a little sniff. The busier the camera spot, the more likely it is to get a nice shot. We can learn a lot from trail cameras. Did you know martens like to play in tall grass? Here we see a family of beech martens. They did this a couple of times the week I captured this, so I was hopeful they would do it again. I really wanted to capture this more close up, so on my next visit, I put my camera on this little tree here, facing this part of the field. And here they are. I put the camera a little lower this time, and it's turned a bit more downwards. Now we see more grass in the shot and less trees. This setup turned out to be perfect for the other little critters as well, like rabbits, polecats, hedgehogs, and also this cat again. When you find a busy crossing like this, use it. Get every angle of it on camera. You will learn exactly how the animals move around and how they interact with the area. If I place my camera here, we get a whole new look at it. Now you can see the little tree we had the camera previously attached to, with the grass below. From this angle, we can now exactly spot where the bugs like to enter this crossing and how they mark their territory. Let's put our camera back on the little tree from before, but face it the other way now. There's thick bushes on both sides, a pile of wood on the right, and there's a little open space here. We can predict what way the animals are coming from and use this to set up the camera so that the animals walk towards it. You can see the camera bouncing up and down a little bit. This is because we use a tiny tree to trap our camera to, so when there's a little wind, it will move the camera too. This will potentially result in a bunch of empty shots, but sometimes you gotta take that risk and hope for some good weather. However, I like rainy shots like this too. I think the sound is very comforting. Maybe I follow that fox with you another time and show you what's behind that bush. But for now, we will put the camera on the right side of this trail to get a different angle. I like to try out different angles every time I find a new spot. You will learn by doing what works and what doesn't work. I try to find views with a nice looking background that show the colors of the forest. But I also keep in mind where exactly I expect the animals to pass by, so that they will trigger the camera on time and stay in the shot for a while. Now we also have a nice view of the pile of wood here. These are a perfect place for mice, so if you have a camera that's suitable for close-ups, or you have a homemade close-up lens like I do, you can capture something like this as well. It helps, of course, if you hide a small amount of birdseed here. You might even get a surprise visitor. Hello there, little hedgehog. Okay, let's get back to the trail. On the other side, we see a little hill covered with moss. The colorful moss stays green all year long, which is the reason I like to use it as a feeding table for birds in winter. These shots are made with a clip-on attachment, using the lens of a pair of reading glasses. When you point your trail camera at a feeding table for birds, I would recommend changing the settings of your camera so it will only film during daytime. Otherwise, your memory card will be loaded with hundreds of clips of mice after the first night already. I do have a weakness for the smallest critters of the forest, but I think you definitely can have too much footage of mice. Let's put the camera somewhere over here and look back at where we came from. From here we can see the animal crossing in the back, where we saw the martens play in the grass. This is the little tree we used a couple of times in different directions. But we've also used this big tree to capture the bugs. And way in the back is the corridor that leads to the tree stump at the edge of the forest. Behind the pile of wood and on the right, I found many rabbit holes. So I always capture a lot of rabbits here, which is nice. I like rabbits. When you find a similar area with lots of wildlife, even if it's just a corner in the woods, you should explore every angle of it, like I showed you in this video. And use those angles every season, because every season can make the same forest look and feel entirely different. That's me, in a hurry, making sure my cameras are not covered with snow, We don't often have snow here in Belgium, so I was really focused on getting footage of any animal brave enough to brace the cold. And I got lucky. Thank you for watching this video, I really hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make more videos like this, or if you have questions about this video. I would love to answer them. There's much more I can show you. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more. It would make my day. Toodles!